Captain Morzak of the Galactic Confederation leaned back in his command chair, his 4 eyes blinking in astonishment at the view screen. Was this some kind of joke? The humans had sent 1 ship to meet our invasion fleet of 300 warships? 1? Are they serious? I asked, my crest of tentacles wriggling with barely contained amusement. Scan it again, Lieutenant Pax. There must be more vessels hiding somewhere. Lieutenant Pax, her scales gleaming under the bridge lights, tapped frantically at her console. No, sir. I've scanned the entire system 3 times. The humans have exactly 1 defensive vessel. And well, it's rather pathetic. The bridge crew erupted in laughter. I couldn't blame them. After all, we had conquered 17 star systems in the last cycle. The Confederation had never lost a war. And now these humans thought they could face us with a single ship that looked like it would fall apart if we sneezed in its general direction? They're hailing us, Captain, Communications Officer Drell announced, his mandibles clicking excitedly. Put them through. Let's hear what these single-ship warriors have to say. I straightened my uniform, still smirking. This would make an excellent story at the officers' club. A human appeared on screen. Pink-skinned. 2 eyes. No tentacles or proper exoskeleton to speak of. How had these creatures even achieved space travel? I am Captain Eliza Monroe of Earth Defense Vessel Horizon, the human said, with remarkable composure for a soon-to-be extinct species. We wish to establish peaceful diplomatic relations with the Galactic Confederation. I couldn't help myself. I burst out laughing so hard my secondary breathing tube nearly collapsed. With what army? I finally managed to say. You've brought 1 ship to face the might of the Confederation? Did the rest of your fleet get lost? The human captain remained unervingly calm. This is our only ship available at present. We're a peaceful species, but we're prepared to defend ourselves if necessary. Defend yourselves? I wiped tears of hilarity from my upper eyes. With that, my entire bridge crew was doubled over in laughter now. Lieutenant Pax actually fell out of her chair. The human's expression hardened. Captain Morzak, I must warn you. Earth doesn't want war, but if you attack us, you will regret it. Is that so? I replied, signaling Weapons Officer Krell to prepare the main cannons. Any final words before we turn your little ship into space debris? The human looked directly into the camera, her face eerily calm. Just these, you'll regret this war. The transmission cut off. Well, that was dramatic, I said, triggering another round of laughter. Weapons Officer Krell, end this farce. 1 light cannon should do it. The horizon exploded spectacularly with just a single shot. Set course for Earth, I ordered, already drafting my victory speech in my head. This will be the easiest conquest in Confederation history. Later, celebrating in my quarters with my senior officers, we toasted to the absurdity of human defense strategy. 1 ship. Lieutenant Pax howled, slapping her tail against the floor. Can you imagine? None of us could stop laughing. None of us had any idea what was coming next, #only 1 ship. The last transmission from Earth, you'll regret this war, #Part 2, the trap unfolds 3 weeks after our glorious victory. I was enjoying a peaceful sleep cycle when the alarm jolted me awake. Stumbling to the bridge in my sleeping garments, I found chaos. What in the 7 moons is happening? I demanded, my tentacles flailing in agitation. Commander Brix, my second-in-command, looked up from his console with all 3 of his eyes widened in panic. Sir, we've lost weapons control on the Devastator, the Conqueror, and the Inevitable. Life support is fluctuating on 5 more ships. How? We're not under attack. I grabbed a nearby data pad, scanning through system reports. Nothing made sense. That's not all, sir, Lieutenant Pax added, her usual confidence replaced with clear anxiety. Security doors throughout the fleet are opening and closing randomly. The Admiral's quarters were sealed for 3 hours with him inside. I felt the first tremor of real fear. Engineering? Sabotage? Unknown, sir. But there's more. Bricks pulled up a communication log. We're detecting strange transmissions bouncing between our ships. Our experts can't decode them. Communications Officer Drell chittered nervously. Captain, I think they're coming from within our systems. That's when Security Chief Grom burst onto the bridge, his armor scorched and cracked. Captain. That human ship we destroyed, it wasn't a ship at all. It was a delivery system. The moment we scanned it, we were infected. Infected? With what? Some kind of virus. It's everywhere now, in every system. We didn't even have firewalls for this kind of attack because no species has technology like this. I slammed my appendage against the command console. Impossible. They're primitives. The ship suddenly lurched, lights flickering. On the main view screen, static cleared to reveal a message scrolling in Confederation Standard: "You'll regret this war." Sir. Weapons Officer Krell's voice cracked. Long-range sensors are picking up something. Hundreds of vessels, appearing out of nowhere. That's impossible, I whispered, even as the evidence materialized before us. The human ships seemed to phase into existence, sleek and deadly, nothing like the clumsy vessel we'd destroyed. They moved with impossible precision, their hulls absorbing our scans rather than reflecting them. Commander Brix turned to me, horror dawning on his face. They wanted us to destroy that first ship. It was a Trojan horse. A what? An ancient human war tactic. His explanation was cut short as the first barrage hit. The Magnificent, our largest dreadnought, split in two without even firing a shot. The Supreme, our fastest cruiser, went dark instantly. Evasive maneuvers. I shouted, but nothing responded. Our engines were dead. Sir, Lieutenant Pax whispered, I think the humans have been controlling our systems for weeks. On the view screen, a human face appeared, Captain Eliza Monroe, very much alive and utterly unimpressed. Captain Morzak, she said calmly, about that war you started. Having regrets yet? For the first time in my career, I had absolutely nothing to say, #only one ship? The last transmission from Earth, you'll regret this war, #Part 3, the technology gap, retreat. All ships, immediate retreat to Proxima Base. I screamed into the fleet-wide comm as another Confederation battleship erupted into flames. What remained of our once mighty armada limped away, pursued by just a fraction of the human forces, as if they were toying with us. The Emergency Council convened within hours, with holographic projections of surviving captains and admirals flickering around the table. Most looked as shell-shocked as I felt. How? Admiral Zorn demanded, pounding his gelatinous appendage on the table. How did we miss this? Our intelligence suggested the humans were barely capable of interplanetary travel. Fleet Analyst Jax nervously adjusted her breathing apparatus. Sir, it appears the humans deliberately presented themselves as technologically inferior. They've been watching us for decades, learning our weaknesses while revealing none of their strengths. On the main display, footage showed human vessels seemingly phasing through solid matter, weapons that bent spacetime, and defensive shields that absorbed our most powerful attacks like they were nothing. That's impossible technology, I muttered, watching a human ship teleport instantaneously across 3 light-minutes of space. The physics doesn't even make sense. And yet, Commander Brick said quietly, they're doing it. A priority alert flashed across my personal screen. They've retaken Orion Colony, I announced, my voice hollow. That's the 3rd system they've reclaimed this week. They're being methodical. We need to negotiate, suggested Vice Admiral Quell, her scales pale with fear. Surrender with terms. We tried, Admiral Zorn snapped. They're not responding to diplomatic channels. I couldn't help but laugh, a bitter, terrified sound. Can you blame them? We didn't exactly take their diplomatic overtures seriously, did we? The room fell silent as the implications sank in. We had mistaken patience for weakness, restraint for inability. The humans know exactly where we are right now, I said, a realization dawning. They're letting us have this meeting. They could end us, at any moment. On cue, every screen in the room flickered to show Captain Monroe's face. I see you're finally taking us seriously, Captain Morzak, she said, a small smile playing at her lips. Remember when you asked if our fleet got lost? The screens filled with images of human armadas, thousands of vessels of varying designs, deployed across the galaxy in perfect formation. We were never lost, Monroe continued. We were waiting. Watching. Giving you every chance to choose peace. Tactical Officer Vren stumbled into the room, clutching a data pad. Sir, they've developed a way to neutralize our quantum drives. They can prevent us from entering hyperspace. That's not possible, Admiral Zorn whispered. That technology contradicts fundamental laws of physics. Captain Monroe, still watching through our screens, shrugged. Your understanding of physics is incomplete. We tried to share knowledge. You chose war. And in that moment, I understood with perfect, crystalline clarity, we had never stood a chance. #only one ship? The last transmission from Earth, you'll regret this war. Part 4, Humanity's Mercy. 3 days later, what remained of the once mighty Confederation fleet huddled in orbit around Proxima Base, our last stronghold. We had no escape routes, no reinforcements, and no hope. The human armada surrounded us completely, their weapons primed and ready to end our civilization with a single command. Well, I said to my bridge crew, attempting humor in our final moments, at least we won't have to file those end-of-quarter reports. Nobody laughed. We were all too busy contemplating extinction. The communication alert chimed, startling everyone. Lieutenant Pax looked up from her console, confusion written across her scaled features. It's the humans, sir. They're requesting a diplomatic meeting. Not demanding our surrender. I blinked all 4 eyes in succession. That can't be right. But it was. Within hours, I found myself shuttled to the human flagship, the Intrepid, escorted by guards who were polite but silent. They led me to a conference room where Admiral Lyra Blake waited, a tall human with dark skin and silver-streaked hair. Captain Morzak, she greeted me, extending a hand in what I recognized as a human custom. Thank you for coming. Did I have a choice? I replied, cautiously taking her hand. She smiled. There are always choices. That's why we're here. What followed shocked me to my core. Instead of dictating terms of surrender, Admiral Blake proposed peace. The Confederation would return all conquered territories, pay reasonable reparations, and submit to monitoring for 50 cycles, but we would be allowed to continue existing. I don't understand, I finally said. You could wipe us out completely. Why don't you? Admiral Blake leaned forward. Because that's not who we are, Captain. Humanity doesn't want war. We never have. But when forced into conflict, we commit to it totally. The difference is what we do with victory. You're showing mercy, I said, the concept almost alien to me after centuries of Confederation conquest. We're showing humanity, she corrected. Our greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our capacity for forgiveness. 6 months later, I stood on the observation deck of Proxima Base, watching human engineers install defensive systems far beyond our own technology, systems that would now protect us from the numerous enemies we'd made during our conquests. Still can't believe it, sir? Commander Brix asked, joining me at the viewport. Not really, I admitted. We tried to conquer them, and now they're protecting us. The irony wasn't lost on me. The Confederation, which had judged human weakness based on a single ship, was now sheltering under the protective umbrella of the very civilization we had dismissed. They've established diplomatic relations with 7 other species this month alone, Brix noted. The galactic alliance they're creating is growing faster than our Confederation ever did. I nodded, watching a human technician patiently explain something to one of our engineers. You know what the strangest part is? They really did only have one ship when we first encountered them. What? That's impossible. No, I said, finally understanding. They had one ship because they never needed more. Peace was always their first choice, and now I see why. They're better at it than anyone. As the newly formed Alliance fleet conducted training exercises in perfect formation outside our window, I couldn't help but wonder what might have happened if we just listened to that first transmission from Earth.